have in our earlier sessions we have discussed that the aim of the human life is self-realization, God realization, and that we have heard it time and again, and that we have discussed. We are reflecting on it, we are meditating on it. Some of us who are here have realized that, some of us are in the path of realization, proceeding towards it. But we all here, we are all of us, we believe, and we believe firmly that the goal of human life is God realization, self-realization. Now, what happens when one realizes God? Or why is it that I have to realize God? The first thing is, it's the goal of human life, so I have to do it. But there are other aspects of this, of God realization. And today we are going to read from Swami Vivekananda that what are the two main distinct things that a self-realized person has. So Swami Vivekananda says that the two phases of this distinction, what distinction? Of a self-realized person. The two phases of this distinction in life are, first, that the man who knows the real self will not be affected by anything. He or she, one who has realized the self, one who has had God realization or self-realization, he or she will not be affected by anything. It has been told in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita also that how is it that one who achieves this, one who achieves this truth, one who attains this truth or know this truth, what happens? That even if he or she comes across great problems, or as we have been discussing these rough phases, through great problems, still then they would not be affected. Yam labdhva chaparam labham mannate nadhikam tata yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. That is, attaining which nothing else is required or left to achieve. That means you are fulfilled. You are full to the brim. You do not require anything else. You are full. Yam labdhva, attaining which, cha aparam labham, nothing else is required to achieve. Mannate nadhikam tata, you do not need anything else to achieve, because that achievement or that attainment is such powerful, so beautiful and so powerful that you are fulfilled. You are full to the brim. You become full and you do not need anything else to satisfy you. And then what? Yasmin sthito, when you are rooted in that self or in that truth, na dukkhena, even great problems or great sufferings. Gurunapi means great. Guru means great. So yasmin sthito means to be established firmly, to be rooted firmly. Na dukkhena, dukkha means sufferings. Great sufferings, na vichalyate, cannot affect you. That is what happens when we attain this truth, when we realize this truth, that even when we undergo great adversities, when we undergo great turbulences or huge problems in our life, we are not affected. Might be a little, but we will not be thinking that all is lost, I am gone and everything is finished. No, I will not be affected in that way. So, the first thing, as Swamiji says, first, that the man who knows the real self will not be affected by anything. And what is the second thing? That is very important. Why very important? Because every one of us, normally, we think to do good of the society. Those who are at least, those who has at least come above their own individual things. Only my living, my comfort and my, things. Those who have come above those things, they think that I have to do something good for the society, something good for the people. And they try in different ways. So here Swamiji says, secondly, that man alone. Which man? That man who has realized the self. That man who has had God realization or self-realization. That man alone can do good to the world. So, what to say of the people who are trying to do good to the world? That's of course good. At least they are not thinking for themselves. They are trying to do good. But the real good in the real sense, can be done only by a person who has attained self-realization, God realization. Why? Because all his needs are fulfilled. He will not take anything for his own. Not a single thing he will need of his own. Whatever he is given, whatever he receives, he will spend it for others. Because he is fulfilled. He doesn't need anything. As Bhagavan says beautifully, that I am full to the brim, and not only full to the brim, I am overflowing. I am overflowing. So, naturally, that which is overflowing, if there is a glass and that glass is overflowing with water, and if I add another half a glass of water or even one drop of water, that drop of water is not going to enter that glass. That drop of water is going to just flow out, isn't it? So that is why a self-realized person, a God-realized person, can alone do good to the world. That is what Swami Vivekananda says. That what? Secondly, that man alone can do good to the world. That man alone will have seen the real motive of doing good to others, because there is only one. Because he will not be serving others, he will not be helping others, he will be loving others. Why loving others? Because he knows that there is only one. There is only one. So when there is only one, I cannot serve him. Do you serve yourself? Do we? Can we? No. We can love ourselves. We cannot serve ourselves. We love ourselves. And Bhagavan, again I would come to Bhagavan, that Bhagavan beautifully says that if you have a wound in your arm, so when you put an ointment, when you are putting an ointment in the arm, in the wound, are you helping yourself? Are you serving yourself? Or is it out of love? What is that? It's purely out of love of yourself. You love yourself, and that is why you are applying that ointment. Similarly, that person who has attained self-realization, he knows that whatever I am doing, I am not doing for that person who is front of me. Actually, it is me reflected in that person. It's me, myself. I'm loving myself. So there he does that not out of sympathy, not out of kindness. How can you sympathize with yourself? You can love yourself. So that person who has realized the self, he alone knows. What does it know? What does he know? That man alone will have seen the real motive of doing good. What is the motive behind doing that good? Because there is only one. And that is why I have to love everyone, because there is no such thing as everyone. The real thing is only one, not everyone. There is only one, which is known as God or Atman or Self, whatever you may call. So he sees his reflection in everything. And that is why he does good, not to others, but for his own self. And that is the motive, the best motive. That man alone will have seen the real motive of doing good to others, because there is only one. It cannot be called egoistic, because that would be differentiation. When there is ego, there means there is difference between two persons. When I give, if I am giving, then there must be a taker, a receiver, isn't it? Then there will be a sense of ego. I am higher, I am giving you, I am helping you. But when I love myself, as I said, when you are applying ointment on your own arm, where is the ego? Who is helping whom? For what you will have the ego? You are loving yourself. Where does ego come from? There is only love and nothing else. And that is why he who has known the self can best benefit the world. He can do the best, not service, actually that is love for the world. It is only selflessness. And Bhagavan calls it not even selflessness. I love myself. What is the sense of having a self or something other? I love myself, that is it. There is no ego in it, there is no duality in it, there is nothing in it. I love myself, and that is why I am applying that ointment. So, like it happened with Sri Ramakrishna. One day Sri Ramakrishna was speaking in the Dakshineshwar, that room where he used to recite. So Swami Vivekananda was there. He was then known as Narendranath earlier in his earlier life, before taking sannyas, not earlier life, in his earlier ashram. We say it ashram, sannyas ashram, or the one before. So it was before taking his sannyas, monkhood. So Sri Ramakrishna was speaking about Chaitanya Dev. Chaitanya Dev. So Chaitanya Dev said that Jive Daya, that means kindness to all beings. Daya means kindness. And Sri Ramakrishna was speaking about Chaitanya Dev, and when he said that you must have this kindness to all, every being, and he entered into Samadhi. And then after coming out of Samadhi, he said, what? Kindness? How can you show kindness to the Supreme? It is the Supreme who is reflected in each and every being. How can you show kindness to the Supreme? So, it is not kindness, it is service. service to each and every being. And that is why Swamiji heard it and he said, what an excellent elucidation. That it's not kindness to every being. You cannot show kindness to the Supreme. You can serve Him. Bhagwan went a step further. And he said, how can you even serve the Supreme? It is He who is serving us all, It is He who is guiding us all. It is He who is helping us all. So how can you help Him? How can you serve Him? You can love Him. You can love Him. You can love yourself. You cannot serve yourself. You can love yourself. And that is the beautiful example which he has given, that when you have got burnt or there is a wound in your arm and you are applying ointment, where there is kindness, where there is service, there is just one thing, love. I love myself, and that is why I am applying ointment, so that the wound goes away quickly. So, you see, God incarnates, they do these things. Chaitanya Dev said one, Sri Ramakrishna got a step further, and Bhagavan went one step further than Sri Ramakrishna. It's nothing to be compared, it's not of any comparison. During the time of Chaitanya Dev, that was needed. During the time of Sri Ramakrishna, that was needed. During the time of Chaitanya Dev, kindness was needed. During the time of Sri Ramakrishna, service was needed. Now what we need is love, because it is the lack of love which is reflecting in everywhere. Wherever we see, it is lack of love. And that lack of love we see reflected in everything, everywhere, in every sphere of life. And that is why Bhagavan said that AIDS or cancer is not the menace of the present day world. The menace of the present day world is lack of love, lovelessness. And that is why he went a step further and said, not even service to mankind, it's love. Because it is you who is standing in front of me. It's not you, it's me reflected as you. It's me reflected as you who is standing in front of me. So I cannot serve you, I can love you. And this is what the world needs most now. It is only selflessness. It is the perception of the universal and not of the individual. It is the perception of universal and not of the individual. And religion means this march from individual to universal. Before entering into any, step of religion or in any path of religion, we normally one becomes, or they stay as individuals, thinking about myself, thinking about my family, my thing, my this, my that. But real religion or spirituality, what does it do? It just transforms these ideas, these thoughts. He says, okay, your family, your friends, your relatives, fine. But you are not so small that you can just only think of them and spend your whole life. You can also think of others. Try it. There is no harm in giving a try. And when you go, you see that yes, it's possible. And gradually this comes. And that is why Bhagavan said, expand your heart. This is one of the basic things of religion. Expand thy heart, as Bhagavan says. So, it is the perception of the universal, not of the individual. Every case of love and sympathy is an assertion of this individual, of this universal. Every case of love and sympathy is an assertion of this universal. Every case, wherever there is love, there is this assertion of universal thing. Love means universal. But when this love gets confined and falls on just my son, my daughter, my wife, my husband, then it becomes individual. But love as an essence, it's universal and not individual. Not I, but thou. So in love, there is no individuality. If there is individuality, that means still the real love is not there. That is the beauty of love. And this love, that not I but thou, will only come when you have realized the self. That not me, not I but thou. No individuality. But what type of love do we see or do we understand? If I love someone, then he or she has to obey my things. You cannot go there, you cannot do. And if he or she obeys that or follows that, oh, he or she is a very beautiful person. I love him or her very dearly. But that is conditional. In real love, there is no I, not I, but thou. You. Help another. Why? Why to help another? Help another because you are in him. The person who is coming in front of you for help, when you see him as other person, you will, you will give something out of sympathy or maybe out of just kindness or, okay, come on, don't disturb me, and you will, or you may even not give anything and just tell him to go away. But if you imagine yourself in his place, when you imagine yourself in his place or her place, will not just help him or her. Tears will roll down from your eyes, naturally. That it's me who is there in front of me asking for help. So, why to help? Help another because you are in him and he is in you. This is the motive of help. Why? Help another because you are in him and he is in you is the philosophical way of putting it. The real Vedantist alone will give up his life for a fellow man without any compunction because he knows he will not die. He will happily give up his life for his fellow man. Why? He knows that death is for this body and not for the soul. Atman or self, it is indestructible. It is beyond it's beyond birth and death. It's birthless, ceaseless, deathless, immortal. So, what happens to a normal person? If I die, then what will happen? That very question, what will happen to me, that goes away because he knows that I am not going to die, my body is going to die. So, but this truth can only be realized by a self-realized person and not someone else. And we know that story, of Alexander the Great, when he wanted to take a yogi to his country. He came to India, he conquered, and then when he went to the forest in search of such a wise yogi, and he found one, he said that I have come here to take you with me. The yogi said, I am fine here. He said, no, but still I want you to take you with me. You will be offered the best of food, the best of clothes, and the best of, everything. You will be living in my palace and this and that. And the yogi said, all that be yours. I am fine here. And now he was Alexander, king. So he said, I am Alexander, and if you just don't obey me, I will just kill you. Then the yogi laughed. He said, Still now you are talking okay, but now you have spoken like an idiot. Why? That don't you know that death is not of the soul. Death is not for the soul. Death, the body dies. You can kill my body, you cannot kill me. You cannot kill me. You can kill my body, you cannot kill me. Then he realized his foolishness and he just went away. So, a self-realized person will just give up his life. Just Bhagwan was there in Kaladi, the birthplace of Shankaracharya. And Shankaracharya, when he once, there was a disciple of Shankaracharya. Actually, he came in the disguise of a disciple. He was actually in another path of sadhana, and they needed a sacrifice to complete that sadhana. There was a cult there, and he was from that particular cult, and he needed someone to give a sacrifice, and a human being, sacrificing a human being would be the best, and a self-realized human being, best of the best. So first he came to Shankaracharya as a disciple, that I want to be your disciple. Shankaracharya said, yes, okay, fine. And gradually when he gained the confidence of Shankaracharya, then he told Shankaracharya his real motive, that actually I have come to you, we are from a particular cult and we want we are doing this sadhana, and that sadhana can only be fulfilled, that will be completed when we can sacrifice any human being. And there is no better human being than you to sacrifice, because you are a self-realized person. And Shankaracharya said, yes, okay, fine. If my life can be of some good to you, it's fine. And he went. He went with him. He said, okay, tonight we will be going out and we will be going in the jungle where our other fellows are there. He said, okay, I will be ready, you just come and tell me. And he came, and in the middle of the night he just went away, and Shankaracharya was being prepared to be sacrificed. You see? I am speaking of Adi Shankaracharya, the first Shankaracharya. So everything was ready and he was being made ready for sacrifice, when suddenly Padmapad, one of his disciples, another disciple, who was a very ardent disciple of Adi Shankaracharya, he woke up, and his deity was Nrisingha avatar, the lion-headed, the avatar which we know, who killed Hiranyakashipu, half lion and half man. So he suddenly woke up and he understood that there is something wrong going. He went to his guru's place, that is Adi Shankaracharya's room, and he saw that Shankaracharya was not there. And he ran into the jungle. He understood there is something wrong. And he went there and he saw that his master was being prepared to be sacrificed. And then he alone defeated all the other fellows who were there. He just defeated them, and first Shankaracharya himself obstructed and said to Padmapad that, Padmapad, you need not do anything. If my life can be of some good to them, then it's okay, fine. But then, he was the guru and he was saying to his disciple, so that was a sort of order, from the disciple to from the guru to the disciple, some sort of directive. But then Padmapada said that, no master, no guru, I cannot follow this order of yours. I am not going to follow. All your other directives I will follow with my life, but this particular directive of yours I cannot follow. I will not let them kill you. And he defeated all of them and brought back Shankaracharya. Why Shankaracharya was happily giving up his life? He knows that the main aim of his life, self-realization, it's over, it's finished, he has got it. And he knows that if this life can be of some good to others, let it be. So they are of that level. They are of that level. Like there was once a sannyasi who was living. It's a fact of 1857. This happened in 1857, and this sannyasi, he was a self-realized person, and people came to him to hear him, to see him, and on a particular day, a person from another community came and stabbed him, and he was almost dead. When this news, it spread like wildfire, and people came and they all brought back to him, to his ashram, and he was somehow revived. Then they all told, just tell me the name. Tell us the name who has stabbed you, who was trying to murder you. We will just, not spare his life. Just give us the name. He looked up at those persons and said, those who are serving me now tried to murder me. That means all are same to me. The murderer, the one who is serving, it's all the same. So they belong to that class, that state. And it is not that only they belong to that state. We ourselves can elevate ourselves to that state, and that is possible. I have seen in my own life. Once in Varanasi, I was just walking with Bhagavan, morning walk. During those days, Bhagavan went out for morning walks. So Bhagavan was just, it was me who was with Bhagavan, and we were in the streets of Varanasi. When Bhagavan was speaking about Vedanta, and he suddenly told that, see, if someone now comes and he just murders me, I will not resist. I will tell him, do as you will. I don't have anything to resist. I was taken aback, like, what is this? Then I realized that in which state of spirituality he can go where he will not even resist his death, and someone willingly killing him. So that is possible. And it's not foolishness. It's not foolishness. It is the extreme of spirituality. It is the extreme of spirituality. So that is why Swami Vivekananda says that the real Vedantist alone will give up his life for a fellow man without any compunction, because he knows he will not die. Why? He knows that I am not going to die. And the purpose of my life, the goal of my life, realization of self, God realization, I have done that. I have attained it. And there is nothing more to attain. As long as there is one insect left in the world, he is living. The real Vedantist, how does he think? That as long as there is even one insect in this whole universe, I am living. Because we are one and the same. As Swami Pavitrananda Ji, the Guru of Bhagavan, he says that in our real self, in the real nature of ourself, we are one and the same. So, as long as there is one insect left in the world, he is living. As long as one mouth eats, he eats. So he goes on doing good to others and is never hindered by the modern ideas of caring for the body. You see, this has been told 100 years back, more than 100 years back. It's like 120 years back. And Swamiji says that he goes on doing good to others and is never hindered by the modern idea of caring for the body. So in 120 years back also there was this modern idea, think of yourself, think about your body, how you will live and how to take care of it and doing this and that. The same thing we see it today, just a bit more amplified. So the same thing, the modern idea or a person who has this modern idea will say, wow, what foolish are you talking? You have to think about yourself, your family, your this, your that, your investments, your bank balance, your thing. But at the end, if you ask him, after this, can I smile? He will know. He will say, no, you cannot smile. You have to think about those things, how to make them more. So, what is the use? If I have a lot of bank balance and then I cannot laugh, I cannot sleep, I cannot smile, and I always have to think that how to make more out of it. Better to be like this, to live a simple life, to help others. Why? Because I am not helping them. I see myself in them and I love them because I love myself. When a man reaches this point of abnegation, he goes beyond the moral struggle, beyond everything. So the person who is self-realized, he goes beyond all the rules that guide this world. We have made some rules which guide our society. But a self-realized person, he is above all the rules of the society. There is no rule anywhere in the world which can guide or which can give any sort of directive to a self-realized person. He is ever free. He is ever free. Free from all rules, all moralities, everything. But that does not mean he becomes immoral. He will not find a person more just and more moral than him. So he goes beyond all the just things and all the moralities of this world. Because the moralities of this world which we have framed is for our own selfish desires. Isn't it? It is for our own self-gratification, our own desires. And we have framed them. But a self-realized person, he goes beyond all this. He sees in the most learned priest, in the cow, in the dog, in the most miserable places, neither the learned, nor the cow, nor the dog, nor the miserable place, but the same divinity manifesting itself in them all. How beautiful! That in every place, whether it is a church or a priest or a temple or a mosque or anywhere, a cow or a dog, he doesn't see them as different things. Of course, he sees them apparently as different, but beneath that appearance, he sees that one underlying divinity. And that is why he is beyond all the rules that guide this world. A self-realized person, there is no rule for a self-realized person. Only another self-realized person can judge him. No one else. None. He alone is the happy man. We all want to be happy, isn't it? But what does Swami Vivekananda says? Who alone is happy? One who has realized his self, his true nature, one who has had God realization or self-realization, one who sees the same divinity in the priest, in the dog, in the cow, in the meanest of the mean, in the highest of the highest. He sees the same divinity. He is not the most happy man. He alone is the happy man. That is the power of, because Swami Vivekananda was himself a self-realized person. And that is why he was beautifully explaining this, that what is a self-realized person. How is he? He alone is a happy man. So, with this, we will come to the conclusion of today's class that if we really want to be happy, if we want to be that happy person, he alone is the happy man. If we want this, then what do we want? We need to have this God realization or self realization. Before that, we can try to be happy, but we will be eluded every time until and unless we realize our own real nature, that we are one with that Supreme, we are one with God, we are one with Atman, we are one with Brahman, we are verily Brahman, we are verily the Atman, we are God ourselves.